item to study because it's ruined a lot of people. It is the sort of thing that you can go broke doing. Bob Wilson, there's famous stories about him and Resorts International. He didn't go broke doing. In fact, he's done very well subsequently. But being short something where your loss is unlimited is quite different than being long something that you've already paid for. And it's tempting. You see way more stocks that are dramatically overvalued in your career than you will see stocks that are dramatically undervalued. I mean, it's the nature of securities markets to occasionally promote various things to the sky, so that securities will frequently sell for 5 or 10 times what they're worth, and they will very, very seldom sell for 20% or 10% of what they're worth. So therefore, you see these much greater discrepancies between price and value and on the overvaluation side. So you might think it's easier to make money on short selling. And all I can say is it hasn't been for me. I don't think it's been for Charlie. It is a very, very tough business because of the fact that you face unlimited losses and because of the fact that people that have overvalued stocks, very overvalued stocks, are frequently on some scale between promoter and crook. And that's why they get there. And
this is what the French slate hydrographic looks like. You can see that. And then
2016, Tesla released it to promote the self-driving technology it was developing. Well, now it appears that the video was a sham. The video begins with the tagline, "The person in the driver's seat is only there for legal reasons. He is not doing anything. The car is driving itself." But according to a Tesla engineer's testimony, the car used 3D mapping on a predetermined route from a Californian house to Tesla's then headquarters in Palo Alto. The engineer revealed that during filming, the drivers had to intervene in test runs, and when trying to show that the Model X could park by itself, the car actually crashed into a fence. When Tesla released the video, Musk tweeted, "Tesla drives itself with no human input at all through urban streets to highway to streets, then finds a parking spot." Well, 7 years later, and it seems like we're no closer to fully autonomous driving.
I think that within 2 years, you'll be able to summon your car from across the country. So that, if you're, let's say, in New York and your car is in Los Angeles, it will find its way to you and meet you wherever your phone is. So the phone will just communicate with the car and tell the car where to find you. And it'll just automatically charge itself along the whole journey.
Technologies that really are profoundly, or have the potential to be profoundly better than what's done in the past. And we think that with the loop system, which will ultimately transition to the Hyperloop system, there's the potential here for a revolutionary transport system. And
honestly, I think it's a lot easier than people think.
The blueprints are pretty complicated.
Well, blueprints are always kind of complicated, and I mean, yes, there's math, but it's really not that hard.
It still sounds pretty complicated, Elon.
It's like a tube with an air hockey table. It's just a low-pressure tube with a pod in it that runs on air bearings, on air skis, with an air compressor on the front that's taking the high-pressure air buildup on the nose and pumping it through the air skis. It's really, I swear, it's not that hard.
Is Neuralink at right now?
I think we'll have something interesting to announce in a few months. That's at least an order of magnitude better than anything else. Probably, I think better than probably anyone thinks is possible.
How much?
the X would be would serve people's financial needs to such a degree that over time it would become, I don't know, maybe half of the global financial system.
Wow.
And available expected this to be available in 2020. Yeah, exactly. So would you like to come up? Would you like to come up and? Okay. Suicide for rail. This beats rail. So, and that's I think really quite profound. We're confident that this is a product that is better in every way from a feature standpoint, that wins on economics against diesel trucks in a worst case scenario, and that defeats rail in a convoy scenario. And production begins 2019. So if you order now, you get the truck in 2 years. All right.
Hopeful that they were going to push further into autonomous driving.
You are correct. I felt that I wanted to be a part of this lead into autonomous driving. I wanted to be a part of that crowd. And I believed it, and I kept upgrading my Tesla to one that would have a camera and radar, and then one that would have 8 cameras and radar, because the first one would never do it. And then I gave up, and I said, it's really not going to happen.
You said a really interesting thing that I read. I wanted to read for our viewers and have you react to it. And this is about Elon Musk. You said, quote, "I've just been fed too many hopeful wishes and lies about the future, and I've given up on Tesla and Elon Musk, believing anything they say." That's pretty harsh.
I don't like it when I feel duped. However, I do speak around the world
Once they're, and they also know how to use that very valuation to bootstrap value into the business, because if you have a stock that's selling at 100 that's worth 10, obviously it's to your interest to go out and issue a whole lot of shares. And if you
It plans to sell up to $5 billion in stock at market prices from time to time. It is the third capital raise of the year after $5 billion in September, $2 billion in February. Jim, for a company with $14 billion in cash, and
do that, when you get all through, the value can be 50. In fact, there's a lot of chain letter type stock promotions that are sort of based on the implicit assumption that the management will keep doing that. And if they do it once and build it to 50 by issuing a lot of shares at 100 when it's worth 10, now the value is 50, and people say, well, these guys are so good at that, let's pay 200 for it or 300, and then they can do it again and so on. It's not usually quite that clear in their minds, but that's the basic principle underlying a lot of stock promotions. And if you get caught up in one of those that is successful, you can run out of money before the promoter runs out of ideas. In the end, they almost always work. I mean, I would say that of the things that we have felt like shorting over the years, the batting average is very high in terms of eventual. They would work out very well eventually if you held them through. But it is very painful, and it's in my experience, it's a whole lot easier to make money on the long side. I had one